Hey everyone, it's Howard Gearhauser here alongside my dad, Dr. G. In this quick video, we wanted to talk about how do we actually repair the mitochondria. This is a question that we've been getting very frequently, especially as of recently. So we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into, what are some of the protocols we do? What are some of the things we look at in order to get the mitochondria functioning properly again? And for those of you that don't remember or don't know, the mitochondria are organelles within our cells that create all of the electricity and all of the energy for our cells to operate and function properly. And this is paramount for optimal health. So let's dive a little deeper into this. I'm going to share a slide here. Just give me a second to pull this up. All right. Okay, here is the slide. Now, there's a lot of different items on this slide, as you can see, and we're going to go through each one, but very quickly for the sake of time. But these are all things that we look at when we're repairing the mitochondria. So, Dad, do you want to take us through this slide?
Yeah, so we're going to go just really briefly through these topics. You could have an hour presentation or more on each one of these topics. So I'm going to make it just really brief, so this won't take all day. But prescription drugs are a common problem. You may or may not know that mitochondria originally were free-living bacteria. And so, of course, antibiotics kill free-living bacteria. So that has kind of followed through. The antibiotics we use today commonly are mitochondrial toxins. Plus, mitochondria can be affected by a lot of other drugs. So prescription drugs is a common thing that you need to be aware if there's something that are going to slow down or even kill your mitochondria. Another item is processed foods, and particularly genetically modified foods. So processed foods can be a problem in that they can be digested too fast, overload our system with glucose or something like that. Genetically modified foods are a problem in that there's a quantum physics reason why genetically modified foods don't have as much energy in them, but also genetically modified foods often contain glyphosate, which originally was a pesticide and so is harmful to the mitochondria. And then there's a lot of other toxins that can harm our mitochondria. Our mitochondria are kind of one of the most sensitive things in our body, and the reason for that is they have their own DNA. They have 37 genes that were retained in the mitochondria, those original bacterial genes that are circular, and those genes are highly susceptible to damage from the environment and from toxins. So non-native electromagnetic fields, these are a big one. They harm the mitochondria through multiple mechanisms, but one of those mechanisms is the EMFs release calcium within the cell, and that can be toxic to the mitochondria when it's too much calcium. Artificial light, especially artificial light at night, artificial light during the day increases free radicals that can harm our mitochondria. And then artificial light at night lowers our melatonin. And melatonin is the key to keeping your mitochondria healthy. It helps protect your mitochondria, and it's the stimulus, or it's part of the mechanism of how the mitochondria repair themselves. A broken circadian rhythm then ties right into that, in that if you're broken circadian rhythm, you're gonna have low melatonin, but there's other effects from the circadian mechanisms that affect mitochondria that are really important. Sun exposure is one of the power sources for our mitochondria. Both the UV light, the red, the infrared light are all used in the mitochondria. What they do is we have water that stacks in a liquid crystal on the membranes within the mitochondria. And that's called an exclusion zone. And that exclusion zone is like a battery. And the sun charges that battery. So we need to fix sun exposure. And the lack of sun exposure leads to low vitamin D, which the vitamin D receptors are in the mitochondria. So vitamin D is really important for your mitochondria. Poor sleep, again, if we don't have melatonin, which we just talked about, is a problem. Hormone imbalances, our hormones affect our mitochondria. Uh, and so if you've gone through menopause or andropause or have had a problem with insulin or some other hormone, could definitely affect the mitochondria. Stress, the stress response, the fight or flight gets us into burn all energy at all costs, can put stress on your mitochondria and can damage your mitochondria. And the depleting emotions relate to stress. Uh, excess fat, excess fat on our body can have an effect. One of the effects is generally, if you're creating excess fat, it means that your mitochondria are unable to burn fat. And that's extremely common in our health coaching clients and in the population in general, that overweight is an epidemic that's pretty unbelievable. And it kind of happens automatically when your body is not functioning correctly and you store fat because your mitochondria cannot burn it. Now, what is not known by your doctor or a lot of people is that the mitochondria need to vibrate at 100 hertz in order to burn fat. So you need to correct all these things that we have already talked about and that we'll talk about in a minute to fix that. Over-exercise, you can create too many free radicals. So we have a balance in our body. The free radicals are harmful to many other molecules in our system, but free radicals are also critically important because they're signaling molecules. So we need a balance of free radicals. And one of the things that hurts your mitochondria is getting out of balance. And one of the ways to do that is to over-exercise or to under-exercise. So exercise creates free radicals. Too much, too many, under-exercise, not enough free radicals, so we don't signal. One of the signals to signal, make a new mitochondria. You've got a mitochondria that's dysfunctioning and you want to make a new one. The free radical signal is what does that. So we don't want to be taking antioxidants, overboard antioxidants, and lose our free radical signal. So nature keeps things in balance. Air pollution, this can hurt us for a number of reasons. One is it can hurt our lungs. We don't get oxygen, that's where the mitochondria transfers that electricity into oxygen. So it makes our energy and it makes carbon dioxide and uses up oxygen. So with air pollution, also the light is blocked. So like today here in Arizona, we have a big fire. The Bighorn fire is right near my house, and we have ashes falling down like snow. It's kind of beautiful, but it's kind of sad too. There's a lot of burn up trees are now falling from the sky. Fluoridated water is a big one. Fluoridated anything is a big one. Fluoridated drugs, a lot of the drugs, antidepressants, antibiotics are fluoridated. Those are harmful to your mitochondria. A lot of cities fluoridate their water, harmful to mitochondria. What does fluoride do? It doesn't allow the conduction of electricity. And remember, our mitochondria are kind of a little electric heat engines. Radiation, ionizing radiation can, kill you. So obviously our mitochondria are kind of our most sensitive organelle. So that's what they take out. That's what but that's something that hopefully you're not exposed to. But if you have a nuclear power plant meltdown near your house, keep that in mind. I'm not sure what you do about that. Dirty electricity, that creates those non-native electromagnetic fields around our body that have that same effect that I talked about with radiation, the Wi-Fi, cell phone radiation, dirty electricities from the power grid, electromagnetic fields from the power grid, and they all disrupt our mitochondria. So eating the wrong diet for the mitochondria, a lot of times diabetics are told to eat 6 small meals a day, kind of a balanced diet, carbs, and protein and fat. That is the exact wrong diet for your mitochondria because your mitochondria will never burn fat if you're constantly eating all the time. You need to have some good spaces. We recommend intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting stimulates making new mitochondria, so it's a great hack for repairing your mitochondria. Mineral deficiencies can play a role. Magnesium, zinc, selenium, those are iodine. Those are some of the common ones that are a problem across the board in most Americans. A disconnection from nature. We talk about grounding, where you get the negative charge, the electrons from the surface of the earth. And if you're barefoot, like ancestral human would be, those electrons come up into your body and they give us more electrons. And so our net negative charge in our body is important for health. So for health, we want to have a more negative charge, and nature did that automatically with the surface of the earth coming up in our feet. We have more sweat glands than anywhere else on our body. Why would we need sweat on our feet? Well, the reason probably is that nature says, let's get that human being some more electrons. Sweat has sodium chloride in it, conducts electricity well, conducts those negative electrons up into our body for optimal health. So you disconnect with the man-made shoes, you create a problem. Now there's many other things. We don't want to make this long, like I said in the beginning. So that's kind of a brief overview of some of the things that are out there.
Yeah, and this is a lot, and this needs to be individualized too, because the different factors that are contributing to your mitochondrial damage does vary from person to person. So you need to work with someone who understands this, who can pinpoint the areas that need to be addressed for you. That way you can get your mitochondria functioning properly, creating a lot of energy, and that's going to help your entire body. It's a great holistic approach to optimal health. That's it for this one. Make sure to check out our other videos. We'll talk to you soon.